Mr. Escobar looks so legit. All right.
Oh my God. I've seen these podcasts. They're pretty cool.
All right, Pondo. So today we have our 6th episode of the Pondo cast with Mr. and Miss Escobar. You guys want to start off by talking about your experiences at Pondo? You could go one by one.
I can start that, I guess. I attended Ponderosa High School for 4 years. I was pretty lucky. I graduated in the class of 1993. We're as great as you can see. We're the class of 93. Don't repeat that because that's our saying. Great 4 years here at Ponderosa. Had some fantastic teachers. My experience was over the top, really, because I was so involved with athletics and participating, and I was a very social butterfly. So I had a lot of friends. So my high school experience was pretty awesome. Played 3 sports, football, wrestling, and baseball, and that carried me on to having a very successful college career as well. So, but that all started at Ponderosa just because of my coaches, the teachers, and the people I was around that really made a fantastic, well-rounded experience for me here. And I like being here so much that I got a teaching credential and ended up coming back, and now my life is basically ran by bells every day of my life, being a teacher. So it's kind of the way it goes. So that's my experience.
I also had an awesome experience. I loved high school. I loved Ponderosa. I graduated in 1999. Here we come, we're going to shine. We're the class of 99. I was a cheerleader for 4 years. I was super involved. I was in Key Club. I was in leadership. So I think that really helps just make, for great experiences. When we look back on thinking about our high school time when I knew we were going to do this, that's kind of the stuff that I think about. So yeah, I had a great time, great experience.
What's the funniest moment that you guys remember from Pondo, attending there?
Well, let's see. On campus, funny things that happened. There were quite a few. Our quad, the way it is right now, basically is a skate park. That was never like that when I was here. It was basically dirt and walking areas through the campus. There was no cement. So when that got basically put together, that changed the whole outlook of the school. So you could imagine when it rained some of our hills, there were kids that slipped and fell all the time. And that was kind of like a laughing point for kids because they'd be dressed up like they are today. And they'd be walking to class and they would just hit a hill. And the next, they'd slide down. There's mud all over their pants or dress. And oh my gosh, that happened on a daily basis when it rained. It became kind of the funny story aspect of the days when it was wet. The senior pranks, when I was coming through for 4 years, you got to remember there was no cameras around the school like there are today. So people didn't get caught. Basically, when everyone went home and it was dark, kids could do random things around here. One day we had the swimming unit in the spring, and I was here first period, which actually basically is now zero period, or was zero period back then. There was a dead deer in the pool. Somebody flipped a deer into the pool, and we were coming into the weight room, and everyone's looking over, and you could see antlers out of the water. We're like, is that a deer? So everyone thought that was one of the most random things, and we found out that was a prank. Senior class threw a deer in the pool. So that was a big issue because they had to drain the pool, they had to sanitize it. It was a whole big ordeal. So we lost out on our swim unit for 2 weeks. So yeah, really terrible. A big thing also, this is crazy, this is all senior pranks that are funny things, but for whatever reason, the seniors love to put all the trash cans on pyramids on top of the roof. So I don't know how the kids get on the roof. Library, every time we'd show, there'd be like a 16-stack trash can pyramid on the gym, on the cafeteria, every single day. And then, it kind of took off of people spray painting their class of whatever on the plastic trash cans, but those were on the campus every day, somewhere, randomly. Mr. Lemonager was our government teacher in the F building, and one of the kids somehow got through a teacher, I believe, got a key to his classroom, and they crumpled up newspaper and they made it about desk high the entire classroom. So when he opened the door in the morning, newspaper was just filled the classroom. So that was a mess, but he had a pretty good personality and was a good sport about it. So some of those things were probably the funnier things that happen on campus. There's obviously a lot of different things that happen, but those were the ones that stick out to me, and a lot of the senior pranks. Oh, another one too. So we actually had the front parking lot had a gate, and you could lock it. So kids were basically locked in, and if they wanted to get out, if they had a doctor's appointment or were getting released early, campus monitor Frankie was here back then too. He'd have to run out there and unlock the gate. So that happened a lot. There was a store called Chaps in Cameron Park, and they were going out of business, and somebody stole the sign, and they actually cemented it in at the front gate. Kind of that little story. So people drove in at Ponderosa, and there was a big sign that said Chaps. Somebody cemented it in, so they had to have that all drug out. And then somebody also took a bunch of tires and flipped them over the flagpole, and they were stacked up like 8 tires high. Somebody actually brought a crane in. Somebody's dad had a crane, and they flipped all the tires over. So I just remember the campus guys coming up there, and they're like looking at it like, how are we going to get all these tires off of the flagpole? We have to get a chainsaw. So just those random things that got, the morning started right, I guess, at school here at Ponderosa. So.
That's a few good ones.
I'm not really sure what I add to that.
Yeah, he took all of them out of your mouth.
He's totally right about the mud hill, though. That was something that happened every day. Our senior prank was totally lame. It was nothing like coordinated, so it was nothing as good as that. The only thing I can really think of is pranks that people would play on each other, and there would be many days you'd go to the student parking lot and cars would be completely saran wrapped. Like, I don't know if they still do stuff like that, but door to door, like completely saran wrapped, you can't get in your car.
Actually, the funniest prank, I think, and it's not even funny because of actually when it finally happened, I guess, or the beginning of the happenings, it probably seemed like a good idea, but then in the after effect of what happened, it was crazy. Somebody got a hold of the locker key, and this happened probably 8 to 10 years ago now. But they end up, like a group of like 15 people, they end up getting the keys to the lockers of everybody at the school. They opened up their lockers and they started switching stuff from locker to locker.
That's terrible.
So that happened, the B building, E building, the F building. And so when the kids came to school that day, they opened up their lockers and it was not their stuff. Like, this isn't my locker, but it opened. So that was causing a lot of confusion on that morning. And at the point, everyone's like, oh, what a great, trick, I guess, would be on everybody, because basically everybody involved was tricked. But the problem was missing textbooks, missing laptops. It became a very, very expensive prank. Obviously, they found out who did it, and then obviously those families were charged money to replace some of the stuff that went missing. But it was an absolute disaster. So somehow somebody got a key to the lockers. But at the beginning, it seemed like, oh, that's a pretty funny trick, until stuff showed up missing, and personal items and jackets and all sorts of stuff. So. But again, that happened 8 to 10 years ago or so. So at the time, it was like, aha. But then the other issue was kids didn't have books that are going to class or missing assignments. Some kids had all their homework on their computers, couldn't turn it in. Some teachers had to, give kids excuses for not being able to, or give them an NA instead of give them a 0 because they didn't turn it in. It just became a huge disaster for about 2 months until they kind of cleared that up. So
That's pretty funny, because stuff like that doesn't happen here as much, I feel like, anymore. Yeah. I mean, sure, there's some senior pranks, but nothing like that, so that's pretty hilarious. I guess this goes along with funniest moments. We have craziest moments on here. Do you have anything you want to add on to that? I guess they kind of fit into the same category, but seems like you got a lot of stories to tell. So.
Yeah, there's quite a few. When you've been here for 4 years, and then, for both of us being on campus, you get to school at 6:30, 7 in the morning, and you don't leave until, when practice is over, or whatever your event is, if it's link crew or whatever it is, till 7 o'clock. So This was a pretty happening place, still is. Kids enjoy being here and they want to be on campus, so they'll leave. They'll be on campus for 12 hours and then go home and get their stuff done, homework done, or whatever it might be. So it's a good place to be.
Well, I guess we'll skip over that. If you guys want to possibly talk about some of your best moments or favorite memories of the school, that could be from when you went to high school, or it could be from recently.
All right, I'll take it. Oh gosh. Some of my best memories from in high school was some of the things that, like some of the activities that I got involved in. So like boat regatta was super fun. Came in second. Our boat was legit. Only came in second because my partner was super, super buff and strong, and every time she would row, compared to one of my rows, it would like turn towards me because she was like so much stronger. Had I been a little stronger, we totally would have taken first. Powder puff was super fun. So that kind of stuff. And then, my best experience now is our daughter's a freshman. So we've been working here for a long time, and it's really cool to have all of her friends and, all these kids we've seen grow up through Blue Oak Camerado. Have them all here now is awesome.
Yep. And your daughter's a part of the leadership class, so that's cool as well.
She is, yeah.
Good. So my dad taught here for 39 years. So I overlapped with him when I first came back and started teaching about 6 years. So he's been retired for nearly 10, I guess, or so now. If that math adds up, I'm not sure. But anyway, so that was a unique experience. I couldn't get away with a lot. Because he was here on campus every day, and if I wasn't in class, which I think happened maybe 2 times, they would just run down to his class and say, "Where's your son at?" And he'd be like, "No idea. Should be in class. It'll be dealt with." And it was dealt with. It didn't happen very often. So, so that's an interesting thing. Boat regatta was awesome. We did that same thing. We've kept that tradition up here at Ponderosa. Unfortunately for my wife, she took second. My team took first. My buddy Rick Cabrera and I spent, 2 full weeks working on our cardboard boat that was pretty much waterproof. Sprayed it, duct taped it, and it got approved in a small gym like they all do. And we ended up doing really well. That was a very fun event. Which we're still doing today, which is pretty incredible. We actually had KCRA 3 here my junior year, I think. It wasn't my senior year. But they were actually here filming it and put it on the news for Sacramento because we were one of the few schools that ever did like activities or rallies outside. So that was pretty cool.
I know, hoping to see some of that stuff come back too. Rallies, sports, and some of it is being confirmed. So it's cool to see that coming back after what we've dealt with COVID this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on from all of that, you guys are married. You guys both went to Pondo, and now you both teach at Pondo. How did you guys meet?
You can take it.
So I'm a huge El Dorado County fair goer.
Fair goer.
I love the county fair. I don't know why, but I like seeing people. I'm a social guy. See former students, whatever. But I've always enjoyed going to the fair, seeing the Ponderosa FFA students. There's just so much going on. I'm a big fan of the wheelbarrow races that the Kiwanis Club runs, and I'm family friends with a bunch of those people, Doug Bierkamp, John Taylor. Anyway, so there's just a lot of events and things that go on up there. So we actually met at the El Dorado County Fair through mutual friends. So it's not a real amazing story, I guess. But obviously it is a story. It's better than meeting some random place or restaurant. But anyway, so we do have a story. So El Dorado County Fair, what was the year?
Ooh. How old were you guys?
Jeez, I was 29. Yeah, I was 29.
Well, I was back from college. I think I had just finished my master's, so 20... You were 29?
Mm-hmm.
I was
28, I don't know.
24 or 3?
Yeah, probably about that. So, yeah, 3 mutual friends, and
went on the Ferris wheel.
And we did go on the Ferris wheel like you're supposed to. Yeah, it's like the Chris Ledoux song, so County Fair. There you go. So.
And following the same kind of pattern as the last topic, what are your guys' best, funniest, craziest memories together?
You could name off a few. I'm sure you guys have a lot. But.
Right.
Wow. We did our honeymoon in Carmel, which was pretty awesome. We went to a restaurant called Hog's Breath, which I still remember, owned by Clint Eastwood. I absolutely love that. That's, a long time ago. I absolutely loved that. We've gone, actually, I'd say probably the most inspirational for us, because we are such, close family, is our kids. Having our firstborn, still remember that day and how emotional it was for both of us. And now Bryn's a freshman here at Ponderosa High School, which is crazy. It just seems like yesterday. And that's something people have always said, time flies, don't wish away the time, all those different sayings, and it is absolutely true. So having our 3 daughters, wouldn't trade them for anything in the world. They're very special, great students, great people, which is the most important thing, and they do the right thing. So those are things that have made us proud collectively as parents, and it's a very special time.
Yeah, I would say we travel a lot. We've taken them on a lot of vacations. We camped a lot when they were younger. Not so much now because our kids are super, super involved in sports. So most of our traveling now is to softball tournaments. Kind of takes up all of our free time. So, yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned camping. You guys camped in the trailer that we sold you, my family.
We did. We don't have that anymore. But we did for a long time.
Yeah.
You were a little guy too when
Right.
we bought that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we had that for years. We just bought a new trailer over COVID.
Yeah.
In March.
Nice.
A year ago. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, your dad reached out to me because your dad was building a cabin in Tahoe, right?
We ended up buying one.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
So remember that was the reason you bought it, and I
Right.
reached out to him like, "Hey, still going strong. We have this trailer still."
Yeah.
So your dad was a pretty awesome guy, very upfront, and yeah, it was a great trailer for our family.
It was.
Worked really well.
Yeah.
So pretty awesome.
You want to move into that?
Yeah. So our next piece, we ask every guest this, and it's advice for the listeners. We ask every guest, what is a piece of advice you could just give somebody? It could be for their education, it could be for life, it could be for anything. So just a piece of advice that you would like to spread.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh gosh. My piece of advice is to be nice to everyone. Looking back on high school, there's cliques and there's different groups and things like that, but I really made it a point to be nice to everyone, and it's crazy how much of an impact that has when you don't even realize it. My dad tells me this story a lot, actually, about how he ran into somebody I went to high school with, and that person, when they connected that he was my dad, they said, "Oh, I went to high school with Cammie, and I wasn't I didn't run in a cool crowd, or I wasn't a jock. I didn't do any of that stuff, but she was just really nice to me. She was nice to everyone." And so you might not even think that has an impact, but it really does. And high school's tough, for some people. So my advice is be nice to everyone.
Actually, that just happened at the orthodontist. You want to tell that story? A girl that was my graduating class?
Yeah. No, well, I can't even remember what she said. She said something about you. When she thinks about high school, she thinks about you, and you were just you weren't her friend, but you were the nicest person to her. Something like that, right? Mm-hmm. What was it? I came home and told it to you.
Yeah. You told the story and can't remember.
I know.
Perfect.
I mean, I can actually add on to that because freshman year, my 7th period for the first semester, Mr. Escobar was my teacher. And I sat next to Jesse Gonzalez, and all we did was talk. But he was the only teacher that would politely tell us to shut up. But besides that, we would just get yelled at. But he made me feel very welcomed at school, like just a chill teacher, someone that you could talk to and not have to be nervous. So it was just a welcoming place to come into your classroom.
Oh, that's
good. That's always what I kind of strive for. Kids being comfortable. Anyway, so that was nice to hear. My wife came home from the orthodontist. Our daughter was getting braces, and she said there was a lady that was working there that I went to school with. We graduated the same year. I felt horrible because I did not remember her. But that actually even makes the story better because I don't remember who she was. And she said I was, I don't know, such a nice person to her that she still remembers that, and I was a really nice guy. So, that resonates with me is like, hey, I did the right thing, because those are the things that you want to, lead on to your kids. And we tell them all the time. So when you hear a story, it reflects back on who you were as a person back then, too. You're like, wow, I'm actually talking about and preaching what I've actually did myself. So that's a cool thing. So another piece of advice, obviously grades. Grades are extremely important because it shows dedication, shows responsibility. I think that's just a huge part of it. And I teach Avid, so our focus for some of those, for most of those kids, is a 4-year education. We do know that you can be successful by not going to college. So I have these conversations with our kids all the time. Obviously, college opens most doors and more doors for you. But if your business or your parents own Gilmore Air Conditioning and you're going to fall into that, probably don't have to attend college. Because you're going to fall into that if that's something you enjoy doing. So anyways, there's some gray areas there, but we want to make sure that we are always striving for our kids to reach a higher bar and to do better and get the most out of them. So if they could do that here and they could learn that and responsibility and homework and managing their time, which is a huge piece, they can be successful at the next level, which for most of our kids here at Ponderosa is college.
Yeah. So I can add on to that. Personally, when I get older, once I graduate senior year, I'm going to go off to a trade school. You still need the grades to go to a trade school.
Sure.
And I've wanted to weld since I was younger. It's been a decision, but at the same time, in the back of my head, I want to have a degree to back me up just in case anything happens. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I've talked with my grandma about that, and she's like, well, maybe you should go to college because if anything happens with welding, you have something to back you up. Yeah. And because it's welding, it's dangerous. Anything could happen. I could lose an arm and not be able to do it anymore, and sure. I don't want to go work at Subway for the rest of my life.
Sure.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Just try to focus on your grades. They are super important. I get it can be hard, and I'm personally struggling with them right now. But if you work through it, you'll get it.
Yeah, and I want to add on one thing you just said, too, because a lot of our students here at Ponderosa have jobs.
Yeah.
So balancing, if you're not doing sports or an extracurricular activity, band, drama, whatever it might be, link crew, whatever, you're still balancing your life and balancing your time and time management by having a job and doing your school. I know what we're going through right now is way different than a normal school. I'm going to school, 5 days a week. But you're still going 2 days a week, so you're still managing that time. And some of these kids are getting some extra hours, putting a little extra coin in their pocket, so it's kind of a cool thing. But that's another big aspect. And you guys are super busy doing ASB. You guys are busy.
Right.
And if it was a normal year, you guys would be getting ready for a dance or a rally. So there's a little bit of dead time.
It is crazy that you say that because, sorry to interrupt you, but ASB is just such a crazy class. Mm-hmm. And I actually talked to your daughter in Brighton about this because they're the only freshmen in A group. And I was like, this class is nothing like it normally is this year. Yeah. We have an event going on every week. You're staying after school doing something. And if we were doing Pondo Cast along with that too, there'd be a lot going on. So for this year, I would say the downtime is a bit nice with doing stuff like this. But it's just weird walking into the ASB class and not having something to do. Mm-hmm. And not having, the 45, 50 person class that we have in there regularly. So it's definitely been a whole different experience this year, but I'm hoping after spring break, if we do go back to full time, that the class can open up a bit more and the freshmen can experience the things that I was able to experience last year.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
I think that's
all right. Well,
can I add one more funny story?
Yeah. No. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes.
If you have anything else that you want to talk about, add it on to here before we close it off.
So the 8th graders, when they were obviously in 8th grade and they would come to Ponderosa, we had 8th grade day, and they would actually come on campus. It's totally different now. Our administrators, counselors, they go down to the middle schools and meet with the kids, but they'd come on buses and they'd get dropped off, and then they'd have link crew basically walk there from class to class, so they could actually be on campus, they could visualize it, they could see it, they could meet teachers. And I was in my government class, and the kids came through, and they actually were like looking out the window, and Mr. Lemonager opened the door and said, "Hey guys, come on in, these are seniors. This is what you guys are going to look like in 4 years." And the kids all kind of slowly walked in, just looked around the room, all scared, petrified, and we're staring at them. And it's like a stare off, like, oh my God, these are freshmen. And they're looking at us like, oh, they're seniors. And then they all walked outside, and the door closed, and the teacher looked at us and like, oh my God, did you guys see that one kid with the huge ears? And he was laughing, and all the kids were like, I guess, I don't know. And then the kid in the back raised his hand. He's like, Mr. Eliminator, that's Tiffany's brother.
Oh.
Mr. Eliminator was absolutely mortified. He didn't even know what to do. He just kind of went, I'm so sorry. And then he went in the back room and took a seat. And our kids were just like looking around like, what just happened?
It was the brother of a student in the class.
That was actually
That's
in
terrible.
our class,
Oh, and of course it
What
was
are the-
that class.
yeah. And we're like, what are the chances? And it was Mr. Eliminator was trying to be funny, and yeah,
Oh,
it just didn't work out.
no.
Anyways, that's not the reason why 8th graders don't come here anymore. But, it was
When
like
they
the
got
story
bullied,
everybody
though.
told across campus. And, Mr. Eliminator had to apologize, and he apologized to the family. I mean, it is what it is. It just sometimes things like that happen. And, I do remember that.
Well, that's a funny one to end it off on. I appreciate both of you guys coming on here today. It's been awesome, and peace, Pondo.